Hello, everybody. This is Mark Smith with Family Tree Life Coaching. I'm here with my jellyfish with a message. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's called Wisdom from a Prophet That'll Light Your Hair on Fire. I don't have to worry about my hair being lit on fire, so I'm good in that department. People treat bald people like they are inferior or something. I love being bald, man. I don't think it looks bad at all, and it's easier to take care of. I'd much rather be bald and have a bunch of messy hair up on my head. That's not really on the topic of what I wanted to discuss. So here's the deal. We're here in isolation and in COVID, and I had gone through binging on Netflix as many shows as I could watch. I was digging me some Ozark. The funny thing is starting on Saturday, I'm going to be spending 2 weeks very close to the Lake of the Ozarks. So I'm going to Branson, Missouri to I'm still going to work a couple days a week, but I'm just going to have some vacation time. So hang out in Ozark country. Anyway, I ran out of stuff to binge watch, so I started watching Star Wars. And, I started with the very first episode, that came years later. The first Star Wars movie was actually the fourth installment, but there were 3 before that came after it. So I started at the very beginning and I went to the very end. And I have to say that the one character that I enjoyed the most was Yoda. And I don't do the voice. Thank God I'm not going to try to mimic Yoda's voice on this video, because I would butcher it and you guys probably would have fun with it, but it would be weird. I'm not going to try to use his voice, but I was digging his wisdom, and I was digging how he would drop knowledge with the inversed words the way he does. Knowledge he shares differently. And I've been talking to a lot of my clients that way. I go through half a session and 1/3 of the things I say are in Yoda sequencing. I think they're getting tired of it. I'm not sure. So when I say wisdom from a prophet that'll light your hair on fire, that was the cool thing about Yoda, is he was so unassuming. Luke Skywalker shows up on that planet where Yoda was, and he thought he was just a harmless, cute little fella. And he didn't know that Yoda was fierce and a warrior and powerful and full of wisdom. So just for fun and just for the ability to share some wisdom that would encourage your recovery, I'm going to share with you 7 quotes from Yoda. Don't tune out. This is going to be funny and it's going to be killer. I promise you. Yoda, I don't know who wrote Yoda's lines, but they had to be somebody who had some Buddhist influence, and they had to be somebody who is like really wise, because he drops knowledge, and I'm going to drop some Yoda knowledge up on you. But Yoda wouldn't raise his voice and drop F-bombs and get overly excited. He talked very calmly, but his words were so powerful. So open up your minds, have a little fun, and see if you don't get some encouragement. In the Bible, it says that laughter is good medicine. And you're going to get some laughter. You're going to get some wisdom. I'm going to take Yoda's fire and his wisdom, and I may drop a few F-bombs and say some edgy things. Yoda wasn't a prophet. The prophet is somebody who stands up on the mountaintop, shouts and screams, and has edge in his voice, and cuts into the people's minds and conscience. That wasn't Yoda. Yoda was like, he let the game come to him. Okay? So, I don't have the wisdom of Yoda, but I do have the personality of a prophet, if you know me. So we're going to add the combination, throw in a little fun, and I believe you'll be both entertained, I think you'll be educated, and I think you'll be inspired. So here we go. There's 9 of them. Let me get me a little slurp here. There's 9 Yoda sayings, and the first one is my favorite. It's killer. So here's the quote. These are all Yoda talking. Yoda, this is not about Yoda. This is Yoda actually doing the talk. So Yoda says, you think Yoda stops teaching just because his student doesn't want to hear? A teacher, Yoda is. Yoda teaches like drunkards drink and killers kill. Ah! That is... You think Yoda stops teaching just because the students don't want to hear? A teacher, Yoda is. Yoda teaches like drunkards drink, like killers kill. What's Yoda saying there? He's saying, I'm a teacher, dude. Yoda doesn't have to cuss and drop F-bombs because he's so powerful. I throw something in because I'm not as powerful, and I like the way it punctuates sentences. So here's my interpretation of what he's saying. Okay, as a therapist speaking to a resistant couple, it would be me saying, I don't care if you people want to hear what I have to say. I'm here to tell you things that are true. Sometimes I'll interrupt a couple and I say, may I say something? And they say, do we have a choice? And I said, no, you don't have a choice. I'm going to say it anyway. So a teacher Yoda is. In Family Tree's system, I teach my young therapists who are learning to be therapists that early on, you're really not a therapist, you're a teacher. I rarely do a lot of therapy in the first 5 sessions. I teach. I know you guys have heard this story, some of you, most of you. I'm going to tell it again because I just like telling it. So it's from the movie Silence of the Lambs, my favorite movie. I'm sure everybody has seen it. In the scene that I like, Clarice Starling shows up at the makeshift jail where Hannibal Lecter, the psychiatrist cannibal, is being held in jail in a makeshift jail near Washington, D.C. And Jodie Foster, Clarice Starling, shows up and says, how do I catch the bad guy? How do I catch Buffalo Bill? And Hannibal Lecter, he quotes the great Roman emperor, and as it turns out, the greater Roman philosopher, Marcus Aurelius. And he said, Marcus Aurelius says, what is the nature of a thing within itself? And Hannibal says, well, what's the nature of this dude you're trying to catch? And Jodie Foster gave a lot of wrong answers, and Hannibal said, no. And then he told her the nature of the guy. The nature of the guy was that he coveted. And by that information, he basically told Jodie Foster, Clarice Starling, if you'll just go up to Belvedere, Ohio, you'll find your guy and you can blow his brains out, which is what she did. So, why do I bring up that story? Because the nature of Yoda, a teacher Yoda is, Yoda teaches like drunkards drink. How do drunkards drink? Why do drunkards drink? Drunkards drink all the time and they really like it. Yoda teaches all the time and he really likes it. I teach all the time and I really like it. Drunkards drink because of their nature. Who are they? They're drunkards. They're alcoholics. Why they drink? They drink because they're alcoholics. Why does Yoda teach? Because he's a teacher. Why do I teach? Because I'm a teacher. And then once I get somebody's brain thinking right, that's when the therapy begins. I've often told people, I went by my office today, I hadn't been there for a long time. It's a nice office, just sitting there empty. But when I had clients come into the office and I'm giving my little speech, the first session, about I'm a teacher, I teach like killers kill. And my version of that is I teach like drunkards drink and I kill like killers kill, motherfuckers. And I tell them, I said, you're either going to learn something, you're either going to open up your mind and learn something, or I will chase you out of my building. And I really don't care which one of those two. I really don't care. I never have. The job of a therapist is to figure out the truth and tell you the truth. The job of a prophet is to hear from God what's true and tell the people the truth, even if they don't want to hear it. And just about everybody comes to therapy. They want change, they want love, they want to stay married, but their defense mechanisms really have no intention of changing. So I was working with somebody this week, and last week I didn't get a chance to eat. I was eating a steak, and my mouth was full of ribeye for half the session. And then I finished that, and then I got on with giving her feedback. She goes, I liked you better when your mouth was full of food, man. Because when you're noticing things and you're teaching, the way killers kill, I get ouchy boo-boos along the way. And this is hard. It's hard listening to unvarnished truth. I share it out of compassion, and I share it with compassion. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, just about everybody in therapy, metaphorically, needs a kiss on the jaw. I said, no, you're wrong about that. Really, my experience has been a small percentage of people in therapy need a kiss on the jaw. Most of y'all need a punch in your face, wake you up, or a kick in your ass, one or the other. So that's the first one. The second quote from Yoda, this is one I really like. This is a funny one. All right, so hang with me, listen to it. Secret, shall I tell you? Grand Master of Jedi Order am I. Won this job in a raffle I did, you think? How did you know, Master Yoda? Master Yoda knows things. His job it is. So here's my translation of that. Can I tell you a secret? I'm good at what I do. You think I became a booked therapist that's one of the highest therapists in town because I won a fucking raffle? No. I got this job because I know what I know. And I know things because it's my job, and I'm about as old as Yoda. He's 900 years old before he died. I ain't that old. There's a place in the Bible that when Jesus began his ministry, they described him and said, it was weird. They were describing him as just, the son of a carpenter, and he didn't have any training, to be a rabbi, but he spoke as one who had authority. All right? When he spoke, people listened because it seemed like he knew what he was talking about. Same thing with Yoda. Man, when Yoda drops knowledge, you're like, how? I get it. He's a teacher, he's a trainer, he's a mentor. So, when you've been doing this therapy thing for 33 years and you spent all of those years working on yourself and you've been to hell and back 5 times, I can't recommend it as a lifestyle. I wish my childhood wasn't what it was. I wish I didn't involve myself with a whole series of psychopathic women like my mother. But y'all get to benefit because there's so much that I can teach you. The fourth one is a really good one. Named must your fear be, before banish it you can. Named must your fear be, before banish it you can. My translation, I'll speak Yoda talk. Whatever issue you got that you're in denial about has to be named, and you have to own it and see it before you can fix it. And that's what a lot of therapy is in working with me, is I'm looking to find out the truth. And sometimes in the very first session, I have enough truth and I'll go for your jugular. Not because I want to hurt you, but if you're thinking just wrong about the world and it's leading you down a path of self-destruction and destruction of a marriage, it doesn't really need to be destroyed, I'll grab you by the throat. Best therapist in movie history was Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting. And young Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon, was somebody who ate therapists alive. And he comes into another guy who grew up in Southie, and Matt Damon found his Achilles heel and started to dig some salt into the wounds of Robin Williams' dead wife. And Robin Williams' character in the movie grabbed that little fucker by the throat and said, if you ever disrespect my wife again, I'll end you. Now, I've never used that particular intervention, threatened to kill a client, or grabbed him by the throat. Licensing board probably wouldn't be impressed with that as an intervention. But in the movie, that's the only thing that would have worked with that kid. That's the only reason they were hugging at the end, and Good Will Hunting was crying like a baby and healing his wounds. And then he got in a car and drove to California to see about a girl. because he respected the therapist, because the therapist wasn't going to take no disrespect, and the therapist spoke his language. And the therapist said, I bench more than you, little motherfucker, and if you mess with me, I'll grab you by the throat and kill your little ass. And Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon's character said, yes, sir. And he listened to him, and they became connected. There was an emotional intimacy there, because Robin Williams says, dude, I know more than you do. I'm an old guy. I learned a few things. You think you know a lot, but you don't know nearly as much as what you think you do. Why don't you shut up and listen to me? And that was the magic of the therapy, was an old guy teaching a young guy. And the cool part was the young guy taught the old guy too, which happens in therapy all the time. The most famous Yoda quote is, do or do not. There is no try. Do or do not. There is no try. When you're trying to raise your spaceship out of the muck and the mire of the little puddle, you're not going to try to do it. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it, one or the other. That's life. When I started family tree counseling in September of 1989, it never once occurred to me that it could fail. It just really wasn't a possibility. I wasn't trying, I was doing. I didn't know it would be nearly as successful as what it was, as what it's turned out to be. I didn't know there'd be something called the internet, and you could talk into a little phone and people all across the world could hear you, and we'd have 4.7 million views. I didn't know that. But I wasn't trying, I was doing. Nike then picked up on that philosophy. I think it's, what is it? Just do it? Something like that. But there's a lot of wisdom. Don't just try, do. The next one. Once start down the dark path, forever dominate your destiny, it will. Consume you, it will. A lot of you have been through narcissistic abuse. You're holding resentment. Resentment is part of the dark side. You watch every one of those Star Wars movies, and the bad guys are always trying to get the good guy to think like a victim and have revenge and be angry and bitter, because that leads to the dark side. One of the bad guys says, go ahead and kill me with your anger, because then you'll be one of me. So part of leaving the dark side is learning how to take responsibility for your life, to not think like a victim, to not hold resentment. In my therapy sessions, I do not allow resentment. It's a cuss word. Of course, I like a lot of cuss words, but it's the worst cuss word there is. We don't use the R word in my therapy sessions. I made a video once. It's based on a quote. It's made by a very famous philosopher. Damn, it'll come to me. Oh, it's not Kierkegaard, it's the other guy. Somebody type it in when you hear this quote. It says, when you're fighting monsters, be careful to not become a monster yourself. For when you look into the abyss, it looks back at you. Oh man, the guy's name's on the tip of my tongue. Y'all know who it is. Famous philosopher. The cool thing about recovery is like a Rocky Balboa movie. something in your life happens and you take a beating. Mick dies of a heart attack. Apollo Creed gets beaten to death by the Russian. What's that guy's name from the A-Team? Mr. T puts a whooping on you. But then you buckle down, you train, there's music going on in the background, getting strong now. You're eating raw eggs and running up a staircase in Philadelphia, going like this. The other day, I had some sessions, and I got done, and I walked around the house like this because I felt victorious. But you can make a comeback in life. If your finances are destroyed, you can fix them. If your love life is destroyed, you can fix that. If your career is destroyed, you can fix that. If your health is destroyed, you can fix that. If your relationship with your children is destroyed, you can fix that. If your reputation is destroyed, you can fix that. I've been through all those things, man, and I fix it all. It's fun to make a comeback. It gives you a lot of humility and gratitude when you start taking hold of your life by the throat and you're not afraid of anything anymore, and you dictate to your life what your life's going to be, and you're able to make healthy choices for yourself. And next thing you know, to use a football analogy, you're catching touchdown passes, you're spiking it in the end zone, you're doing a little dance afterwards. That's what I'm talking about. You can make a comeback. Number 6. This is some of the Buddhist stuff. Everything you fear to lose, everything you fear to lose, train yourself to let go of. You must. Everything you fear to lose, train yourself to let go of. You must. If you're in a relationship and you're needy and you're jealous and you're clinging, you got to get over that. You're just going to chase that person away by trying to trap them. You're addicted to them. Learn how to be in love with yourself, and then you don't need to be addicted to nobody. And you won't be running around having your feelings getting hurt so much. Number 7. This is just one that I like. Truly wonderful the mind of a child is. Truly wonderful the mind of a child is. You know what the job of a kid is? It's to learn how to play. Just to play. Just be a goofball kid and play. You know why? Because when we grow up and we got to do this adulting thing, we got to wash dishes. I hadn't washed dishes in a week. I got to get after it tonight. You got to clean the rug. You got to take care of the dog. You got to take care of the kids. You got to pay bills. You got to pay your tax. You got to wash the car. You got to cut the grass. It never ends. Adulting is hard, man. There's always something to do. Going to work, having all the pressure of work. But if you were able to be a kid when you were a kid, you still know how to play. And you include a little bit of play in every day of your life, and it puts a little sparkle in your eye. You're able to adult and be responsible, but still have some fun while you're doing it. Number 8. This one's deep. Difficult to see. Always in motion is the future. Difficult to see. Always in motion is the future. Going into 2020, I am like a lot of people. I wasn't planning on this COVID thing. I had a whole nother different kind of vision for 2020. You know, the weird thing is, 2020 by far has been the best year of my life. Isn't that ironical? By far the best year of my life. Not only have I made more progress in my recovery, but I've enjoyed more fruit from my recovery than any other year in my 61 years. Difficult to see. Always in motion is the future. Life is an adventure, man. You think life's going to go a certain way, and then it takes a turn for the worse, and it's a shitstorm. It's a total fucking nightmare. You hearing me? Have you been there? You're like, I didn't know life could be this bad. And then you gut it out. And you work on yourself. You put one foot in front of another. And you do the right things. And you sacrifice and you adult and you discipline yourself. And you pray and you weep. And you get better. And then eventually life takes a whole different angle, and the Lord comes along and blesses your socks right off your feet. And you got to pinch yourself every day going, I didn't know it was possible to be this happy. That's what's going on with me, man. I'm happier now than I've ever been. And it ain't good luck. It was hard work. I deserve it. I've earned it by doing the work. But I do feel blessed by the Lord, and I do feel just so grateful for all the bad things you go through is what heal you and prepare you for the good stuff. The last one. If no mistake you have made, losing you are. A different game you should play. If no mistake you have made, losing you are. A different game you should play. If you've conquered all the mountains, you might get a little bored. My hero, Michael Jordan, just won 6 championships. He won 3 championships in a row. His father was murdered. And he felt like, I've done everything in the game of basketball I can do. I'm going to go play baseball. If I stayed and played basketball, because I'm not making no mistakes, I'm whooping everybody's ass every day I play, I'm sort of losing. I'm going to go play a different game that I'm not so good at. And the truth was, people say Michael Jordan couldn't have made it in baseball and he couldn't hit the curveball. The truth was, if he'd have started at just a wee bit younger, and if he'd had some time in the minor leagues, he'd have been a superstar. He'd have probably been a Hall of Famer. He had the skill set. And he actually showed a great deal of skill and talent in the little time that he played. But then there was a baseball strike, and it sort of put an end to his career. By then he was like, it might be fun to go do that basketball thing again. But if you have a boring life because you've been doing the same thing for 30 years, 25 years, 20 years, and you're not challenged by it, you're losing, man. Even if you're getting paid a lot of money, you're losing. A different game you should go play. Keep evolving, keep growing, keep having challenges, be creative. Have a spirit of adventure about you. It makes life fun. So, what I want to say to you all is join us on every other Tuesday night. This coming Tuesday is another night where we're going to have a volunteer. I haven't solidified who the volunteer is yet, but I'm going to. And I'm going to do a family tree while you watch. You won't see the person, you'll hear them. And I'll do their family tree, and on the spot, I'll give them feedback. And I'll give them some Yoda. I'll tell them what I see. I've been doing this for 33 years. And I know how to put together a genogram. I know how to study a genogram. I know how to ask the right questions. And then I know how to get people to hear the feedback. It's a priceless skill. You know, if you can't afford to come see me, then sign up, get on the list. I'll do these genograms for years if you want. Because the first one we did was not that great because we were typing in, the message. It just didn't work. But we did one last time where somebody called in and I could do it real quick. And you got to see the power of studying 4 generations of people, and then you got to see Yoda do the magical tricks and float the spaceship out of the water. If you can't afford my fee, I'm going to have to raise my fee to $225 for a 50 to 60 minute session. You say, I had a guy complaining the other day about my fee, and when I talk with him this week, I'm going to say, hey, that Patrick Mahomes, does anybody bitch about how much he makes? No, because he's good at what he does. I'm like, if you want some third string quarterback, you can probably get him for $1.25 once you go see him. But if you want somebody to light your hair on fire, you're probably going to have to pay what they're worth. If you're in a marriage and you're stuck, you're deadlocked, and you're miserable, and neither party really understands what's going on, I'll do a family tree. I'll figure it out in 3 sessions, and then in the 4th session, you'll see Jesus. I'm telling you what, I guarantee that. Now, if you're not ready to hear a teacher, then I'm not going to throw my pearls before swine. Or I'm not saying you're a pig if you don't can't hear the teacher. I'm just saying about 80% of the folks that come in are ready to hear. But if somebody's not ready to hear, I just tell them, you ain't ready. You can't handle the truth, Jack Nicholson said. So I'm like, I ain't going to tell the truth because you can't handle it. So if you can't afford to come see me and to have me analyze your family tree, 4 generations, you know what the Bible says twice in the Old Testament? It says the sins of the fathers will be visited upon the children and upon the children's children to the 3rd and 4th generation. So I just get 4 generations on one piece of paper and I study it, and all the secrets of generations become crystal clear to me. And then I have the ability to pound that into your skull, even if you don't want it pounded into your skull. And I put it in your heart. It's powerful. It's powerful. I read a marketing book once, and the strategy, they said, find out what you do better than anybody else in your local market and emphasize your marketing efforts on that. And for years I've been doing these live stream shows, and people wanted to hear about narcissism, and I'm not even in the top 50% of experts in the world on narcissism, but everybody was wanting me to do that, and I did the best I could, but it wasn't the best thing I could do. But I figured out, I know myself well enough, when it comes to putting together a 4 generational family tree, a genogram, asking the right questions, you only have an hour and 45 minutes to complete the assessment and give the feedback. to be able to gather the information, put it on the genogram, see the patterns, and light people's hair on fire. I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I'm probably the best in the world at doing that. Come watch a show and find out next Tuesday night about 8:15, because I'm going to light somebody's hair on fire. That lady Rebecca, who had her feedback session, she said she's learned so much and the truths are still reverberating. And they were right in front of her face, but in her own lives we're too close to the forest to see the trees. If somebody can figure out your marriage, nail it, tell the truth about it in a way that can redirect both of you from pointing fingers at the other person and get you healing the wounds of your childhood, it's worth a hell of a lot more than $225 an hour. You'll pay your attorney $350 an hour, and then you lose half your shit and only get to see your kids half the time. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't need your business. I am booked to the hilt. But if you're stuck, I'm telling you, I'll get you unstuck. And I'll fit you in somehow. So, I wanted to share some Yoda thoughts with you. But Yoda's not a prophet, man. He's a wise man. The prophet is the guy who takes the wisdom of the wise man and he raises his voice and he preaches. And he'll get your hair lit on fire and he'll cut through your denial. And that's just always how I've been wired, and since I was a little kid, or not a little kid, but a teenager, is I see things and I'm able to help people see their blind spots, even if they don't want to. So I hope you enjoyed this. I like the part where he said, "You think I get this job in a raffle? I'm Yoda. I didn't get this job in a raffle." Yoda knows what Yoda knows. Yoda teaches like a drunkard drinks, and he teaches like a killer kills. That's drop the mic stuff right there. I'm telling you what. Join us on Tuesday night, man. You'll see magic. You'll see somebody learn some stuff that they never saw before that'll change their lives forever. It's very cool stuff. So, thank goodness for Yoda. He's very cool. I hope you learned something today. I hope we had just a little bit of fun. Thank you for watching, and God bless.